ever want to travel past this glade, sir? Elysium in all its splendors. There's a lot to see.
I'm sure enough, stranger. I traveled far and wide whilst I drew breath. That got me rid of any wanderlust. This little corner suits me well, I think. I have the statue there, the river. It's quite nice.
You have to tell me more about this pact you signed, Achilles. You and Patroclus. So you're doomed to never be together then?
You must safeguard the details of it, lad. Although it's not as bad as you make out. I ensured Patroclus is provided for. We wouldn't have been together anyway. Initially, he wasn't sent into Elysium, you see.
There has to be a way for me to make this right. Not just for him, for you.
You've other pressing matters to attend to, lad. And Patroclus and I have ample time to wait this out. I know you mean well, but do not discuss this matter with your father now. I fear that it could make things worse. Do you understand?
I do, I think.
He's never going to return to me, is he? He's in your father's service now. He's never getting out. Neither are you.
No, that's not acceptable to me. None of it.
How bold. So what do you intend to do? You're leaving anyway.
I'll figure something out. But you do something for me in the meantime. Don't give in to what you're feeling now, all right? Achilles loves you still, like you don't know.
I'm past the point of making promises, but thank you for your words. I love him still, in turn. I pray the fates help you in your endeavors there.
Achilles, now that I have access to the administrative area again, I've access to the archives, and I have some authority to void those under certain circumstances. So about your pact.
I know you mean well, lad. And from the bottom of my heart, where once it was, I thank you truly for the thought. However, don't exert your influence on this. Not now, at least. The fates can twist intentions. I don't want to take the risk.
You're sure? Well then, I'll wait. But I am going to ask you again. We have to find a way to fix this. Patroclus is waiting. The fallen warrior in Elysium we spoke of. He seems like a good man, though. Was he always the despondent sort?
No, lad. I was that sort, I think, but he was not. He was one of the only men I knew who did not look upon me as a threat. He saw something in me I never knew was there, and in turn, with him, I felt, how to describe it, calm, whole.
Huh. I'm restless all the time. I can only imagine.
He had this wry humor about him, like he was wise beyond his years, a quality I trust shall see him through his struggles now, although I hoped residing at Elysium would mean he wouldn't have to struggle any longer.
He shouldn't, sir, and neither should you.
Always refused to budge. He ever tell you of the war in which we fought? I fought, I should say. He could have ended it, but he refused to take up arms.
Achilles hasn't been particularly forthcoming about his mortal days, no. So he wouldn't fight. I've heard that mortals sometimes frown on that, but why should he have fought if he didn't believe in the cause?
He shared our cause. So what if it was not completely his? If not for his stubbornness, I would have come here just a bit later, I think.
He blames himself for what happened to you, you know. I figured he failed to defend you or something, not that he didn't fight at all. Although he said something about how, once you died, he shortly followed in a rage.
I wouldn't know a thing about that, stranger, for you see, I was already dead. Getting my place here in the afterlife all sorted out. Took quite some time, getting accustomed to all this.
I know that it's a painful subject, sir, but can you tell me what exactly happened in the war that claimed Patroclus and yourself? He brought it up. Said you refused to fight.
Until he died. I did refuse to fight until he died. But at that point... Look, lad, If we're going to discuss these matters, best we do so in the lounge, not here. The fool of a king I served. I'd never take up arms for him. But Patroclus, he always had a different way of looking at things. As I refused to fight, he rose to the occasion, took up my armor, led my brothers into battle in my guise, fought nobly. But then he, well...
And after you found out, you sought vengeance for him, took vengeance.
That I did. They got me finally, of course, but not before I broke them first. The war soon ended after that. It is an awful contradiction that to quickly end war, one need only extinguish many lives at once. I had not realized it at the time.
Did you allow yourself to die so that you could see Patroclus again here?
I don't know. Maybe. I only know that I was filled with rage. Rage that subsided soon after I arrived here. I felt empty. I never saw Patroclus again. But I learned my brothers honored my last request, as my ashes were laid to rest with his. Anyway, appreciate the drink. Suppose I'd best be getting back to standing quietly about. Though that war, lad, don't ask me about it again. All right?
Of course. Achilles, would you tell me something more of Patroclus? You mentioned you were very close.
We could have been no closer. The ashes of our bodies yet mingled together somewhere on the surface there. What can I tell you, lad? I loved him with all my heart. And he left me too soon.
But now you're both here in the underworld. Can't you go seek him out? Or alter your arrangement with my father?
I tried, lad. I have tried. On both accounts. What you propose is not that simple, it turns out. But I shall tell you what. When next you see Patroclus on your journeys, you keep speaking to him for me, won't you?
I'll do what I can.
Could I have swayed you any other way? With all my mind, with all my heart, you must know that.
Whatever happened with that war you mentioned, sir? If you don't mind my asking.
Well, truth be told here, stranger, I do mind. You speak as one who's not experienced a war. Those of us who survived, or you know what I mean, we do bear some responsibility to history. But all the same, it's not a time and place to which I would return. I trust you'll understand. A question, if you don't mind, stranger. Because I've had one nagging at me since we last discussed the subject. What exactly happened to Achilles, can you say? After I died, that is. I've heard the rumors, but I don't trust any of this boastful lot.
Well, from what I gathered, sir, after you fell, he was overcome with grief and anger. He joined the war just like you urged, and single-handedly, he almost ended it.
So then, he threw away his life. Soon enough after I lost mine. Yet despite vanquishing an army on his own, he wound up in the lowest pits of Tartarus. Instead of here, among the great.
You should know, sir. You were buried together. Your ashes, that is. It was his final request. As for how he came to be at my father's house, that's something I think he can best explain. And I will do everything I can to make sure that he has the opportunity.
Our ashes, you say? Together? The fool. We could have lived, not been reduced to meal for the worms, but... I appreciate the information, stranger. Now, please go. Forgive me, stranger, for, in retrospect, I was too terse after you told me what became of my Achilles. Tales of his climactic battle I had heard. The stuff about his ashes and my own. that was all new.
No need to even ask forgiveness, sir. Achilles is one of my closest friends, but he doesn't care to talk about himself, about those times. It must be very painful for the both of you.
Oh, we've all seen our share of pain by now. But knowing that he cared for me in the end, after the end, it dulls the feeling of it for a bit. As do these conversations, I guess.
How is he anyway, if you've encountered him of late during your journeys, lad? The fallen warrior you've run into in Elysium, that is.
He's doing relatively well, I think. There's a lot you've told me that he didn't know. About what led up to his present circumstances and your own.
You told him then? Without requesting my consent to tell him first? What exactly did you say to him?
Achilles, I'm sorry. I just told him about your ashes being intermingled, that whole thing, and about the Pact. You told me once to send him your love and regards. This brought him no joy, only questions. You told me not to speak to Father, not to him.
You're right, I should have specified. Or shouldn't have. Because what you said probably is for the best. I didn't mean to lose my temper with you, lad. It's just... Look, thank you for looking out for him. For both of us. Just please be careful.
I swear I will.
Well, I've meant to ask you something, stranger. Would you mind doing me a favor, please? If it happens to come up along your path. Suppose I ought to tell it to you first, prior to asking a response.
No, of course, sir. What is it? What's on your mind?
If I know my Achilles, then he's being rather guarded when it comes to this predicament we're in. How can somebody be so brash, yet hate to take unnecessary risks? Just let him know I said to risk it all.
Risk it all? Risk what all? He wants what's best for you. He wouldn't want anything to happen.
It's already long since happened. I dare say that right now, provided what you've said is true, then it appears we've more to gain than lose. Isn't fear for the weak?
Take care, then. I have a message for you from the fallen warrior over in Elysium, Achilles, sir. He simply said to let you know to risk it all.
To risk it all? He said to risk it all?
Yes. Is there something significant about that phrase?
When last he said to risk it all to me, I didn't listen to him then, but should have. I should have.
He's asking you to take another chance.
No. He's giving me another chance, I think. Leave me, lad, for now. Thank you for telling me. A word, Prince? I need your help with something, lad. As I'm about to risk it all, I think. Will you hear me out?
Of course, sir. What is it? I'm listening.
The pact I signed with your father. It must be buried somewhere down in the administrative chamber there. I dared not ask that you locate it, out of fear that tampering with it would only make things worse, except
that fear is for the weak, Achilles, sir.
Indeed. Besides, your father has been more abiding than I expected with how you were able to nullify the terms for Orpheus and Sisyphus alike, so perhaps my case isn't a lost cause yet.
I'll speak with Nyx about it the next chance I get. And I'll be careful, sir. I promise you.
You have my thanks.